ever feel like it's easier to imagine like the whole world just ending
than picturing life without capitalism.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Totally.
That's kind of the starting point for Mark Fisher's capitalist realism.
Right.
Like it dives into this feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
With capitalism being the only option.
Only game in town. Yeah.
Even if we don't like it.
Even if we don't like how it's going, right?
Exactly.
This feeling that just kind of seeps into everything.
Yeah. And that's what we are going to unpack in this deep dive.
Absolutely.
Explore the ideas from his book, Capitalist Realism. Is there no alternative?
The big question.
And look at, you know how it affects us and the challenges of living in a world where it feels like
we can't escape it?
Yeah, capitalism is just it.
That's it.
So before we get too far.
Yeah, this is a good time for me to jump in and mention.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you're feeling like you need a little mental boost, there's mindful moments. It's a way to get these big ideas.
From big books.
Yeah, from important books like this one, broken down into these little audio nuggets.
Like bite-sized.
Yeah, bite-sized so you can listen on the go.
Perfect for those of us who,
busy live.
Are busy, exactly.
So Mindful Moments uses AI to do just that. It helps you nourish your mind on the go.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into capitalist realism.
Oh, hey, let's do it.
What is this idea?
So Fisher is arguing that it's this feeling that there really is no alternative to capitalism. It's become so ingrained that we can't even picture other systems.
Like we can't even imagine.
Even if we hate this one.
Yeah, even if this one's making us miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one option buffet and the food is making us sick, but they're like, this is it. This is all there is.
And you're hungry, right?
Right. We got to eat.
You got to eat something.
And he uses some really powerful examples.
He does.
To get this feeling across.
Yeah.
Like the film Children of Men.
Oh, yeah.
It's this dystopian future, right? Where everything is just kind of falling apart.
Yeah, yeah.
But the idea of a different system.
Unthinkable.
It doesn't even compute.
It's not even on the table. Right?
Yeah. And I remember that film being just so bleak.
Oh,
even the elites are just like, well, this is it.
They're just indulging, right?
Yeah, like nihilistic hedonism, just surrounded by this priceless art, but no future.
Right. It's like they're hoarding Michelangelo's David and Picasso's Guernica, but what's the point?
There's no one to give it to.
No one to inherit it, yeah.
So how does this capitalist realism actually show up?
Yeah, good question.
In our lives?
So Fisher identifies all these trends in our culture that really reflect this deep acceptance.
Of this system.
Yeah, even if it's mixed with uneasiness.
Like we're not happy about it.
Not really happy about it.
But we're like, well, what else is there?
Yeah.
And one of the things he talks about is depressive hedonia.
Yeah.
Okay, break this down for me.
Okay.
Is this just being sad?
It's more than just sadness. It's like this cycle.
Okay.
You're constantly pursuing pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
But you always feel like there's something missing.
Empty.
Yeah. It's like you have all this entertainment, all these material goods.
Yeah.
And yet
something's missing.
Something's not quite right.
Which kind of reminds me of what we see with a lot of young people.
Oh, totally.
Today.
Right.
That resonates so.
I'm bombarded with this consumerism. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. They're lost.
They're lost.
Yeah. It's like they're trained for instant gratification, but they haven't really learned the tools
for that deeper?
Yeah, for genuine fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
So it's not just individuals, right?
No, not at all.
Fisher argues that traditional political structures aren't really challenging this.
This capitalist realism, right?
Yeah, he calls it reflexive impotence.
Yeah.
Which is knowing that there are problems socially, politically, but feeling powerless.
To do anything about it.
To change anything, yeah.
And then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Of course, if you think nothing can be done.
Why would you try?
Exactly, why bother?
And along with that sense of impotence comes the rise in all these mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
Like depression and anxiety.
Absolutely. And Fisher links that directly to the pressures of capitalism.
That constant pressure.
The competition, yeah.
To be better.
Individual responsibility.
And then it's like, well, we'll give you an individual solution.
Right. Therapy or medication.
Yeah, instead of addressing the root.
The systemic issues.
And this is where he brings up the post-Fordist worker.
Yeah.
What does that even mean for those of us who are not economists?
So basically, it's a shift away from that traditional,
9 to 5
stable job to this system of Gigs.
Yeah, short-term gigs.
Constant adaptation. Always hustling.
So you're supposed to be flexible. You're supposed to be adaptable.
Right.
But there's no security.
No stability.
It's like the system is designed to keep us anxious.
It's a key part of his argument.
Yeah.
And then you add in the failure of traditional politics.
Yeah, like they're not really helping.
To even address these things, they often reinforce
problems.
Yeah, the capitalist realism.
Like even the way we talk about the economy. It's like, oh, the market did this.
Like it's this force of nature.
Yeah, like it's beyond our control. Instead of like, no, this is a system that people made.
Right, human made.
So we're just supposed to adapt.
Adapt or die. Right.
It's pretty bleak.
Yeah, it is a bit bleak.
Does he offer any hope?
He does, but it requires a pretty big shift in our thinking.
Okay.
We have to move beyond these individual solutions.
Like self-care.
Self-care, therapy, all that.
And look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, build some collective power.
So we're all kind of complicit.
To some degree, yeah.
Even if we don't like it.
Yeah.
And we need to start challenging the systems.
Structures.
That keep this going.
Absolutely.
But where do we even begin?
Well, that's a great question and a good place to pick up next time.
Okay, stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll delve deeper into some potential alternatives.
In part 2.
In part 2 of our deep dive into capitalist realism.
See you there.
See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into Mark Fisher's capitalist realism.
So last time...
We were talking about that feeling of powerlessness, right?
Yeah, like when you just accept that capitalism's the only way.
Like you just give up.
And Fisher's saying that feeling is like baked into the system.
Oh yeah, it's by design.
But before we get to like the alternatives...
Yeah.
There's one idea I'm still kind of stuck on.
Okay.
The big other. Fisher borrows that from Jacques Lacan.
He does.
And... for those of us who aren't psychoanalysts,
right?
Can you break down what the big other even is?
Sure. So the big other, it's kind of like this shared illusion. Okay. This belief that there's some authority out there or like a system of meaning.
That holds everything together.
Yeah, even if we know deep down it's not real.
So like believing in the invisible hand of the market.
Exactly. Or that things will just work out.
Like it'll all sort itself out.
It's like there's someone in charge.
Steering the ship.
Yeah, when really no one's at the helm.
And that lets us all off the hook, right?
Totally. We can just blame the system.
The government, corporations, whoever.
Instead of looking at our own role in it.
And Fisher's saying that capitalism loves this.
It thrives on it.
And he uses a great example. The call center.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's been there.
Oh, stuck at those phone menus, right?
Endless hold music.
Talking to someone who clearly doesn't care.
And no one takes responsibility.
It's like screaming into the void.
That's the embodiment of capitalist realism right there.
Yeah, you're in this faceless bureaucracy.
With its own weird logic.
That makes no sense.
And you're just repeating your info over and over.
But no one's listening.
No one's really there.
It's like Kafka, isn't it?
He actually talks about Kafka a lot,
yeah.
Especially the castle.
Where K is just searching for this authority.
But he can never find it.
We're all K.
Trapped in the system.
But I thought capitalism was all about efficiency.
That's the myth.
The call center is anything but.
It often prioritizes the appearance of efficiency.
Over actually getting things done.
Exactly. It's about looking like you're useful.
Even if you're not.
Even if you're producing nothing of value.
All those procedures.
Evaluate.
Mountains of paperwork.
Pointless data.
And for what?
It's market Stalinism.
Okay, now you got to explain that one.
So just like Stalinist regimes valued appearance over results,
right.
Late capitalism often does the same.
Like empty symbols.
Meaningless data.
It rewards conformity.
Stifles creativity.
But if it's so broken,
yeah.
How does capitalism keep going?
Through this collective denial.
Like we're all just pretending it's fine.
We're refusing to see the problems.
And it's always shifting the blame, right?
Onto the individual.
So instead of dealing with poverty,
inequality,
we're told to
just make better choices.
Be more responsible.
Whole cycle.
It's insidious.
It really is.
But Fisher offers ways to resist, right?
He does. It requires a pretty big change, though.
Okay.
In how we see the system.
Not just an economic model.
It's an ideology.
It shapes our desires.
Our dreams, even.
And to fight that, we have to build something else.
Imagine alternatives.
Which brings us back to those alternatives.
Exactly.
Fisher's idea of a new kind of anti-capitalism.
Going beyond traditional politics.
What does that even look like?
We need to move past just taking over the state.
Okay.
Real change needs a much bigger transformation.
Values, relationships.
Our way of being in the world.
So not just electing different people.
It's about changing the foundation.
He talks about bringing back the public sphere.
Yes, spaces for people to come together.
Debate, organize.
Build communities.
It sounds like collective action is key.
It's essential, yeah.
Challenging this capitalist ideology.
And he suggests new forms of movements and action
that fit this late-stage capitalism.
Tailored to the specific problems we face.
What would that look like?
He uses the example of teachers.
Okay.
Refusing to do all those pointless evaluations.
That benefit managers, not students.
Exact.
Taking back control of their work.
Focusing on what matters.
And what else?
He talks about movements targeting finance.
Okay.
Challenging how dominant it is.
Wanting more democratic control.
Over the economy.
These are huge changes.
They are.
Kind of hard to imagine where to even start.
Fisher gets that. It can feel overwhelming.
But he says even small acts matter.
Every time we question things.
Refuse to play along.
Connect with others.
Build community.
That's pushing back against capitalist realism.
We have more power than we think.
Individually and collectively.
Which brings us back to his main point. If we can't imagine anything else.
Capitalism wins.
But what if we dare to dream?
What new possibilities open up?
That's a challenge, isn't it?
It is.
To our imagination.
To be open to new ways of being.
And to start doing something.
Even if it's small.
To make those dreams real.
Exactly.
So we're back.
Back again.
With our deep dive into capitalist realism.
Mark Fisher's.
Yeah, we've been talking about how this idea of like no alternative.
It gets everywhere.
It really does. Like into our culture.
Politics.
Shapes how we see the world.
And it makes us feel powerless.
Like we can't change anything.
But you mentioned that Fisher does offer some ways to push back.
He does.
This new kind of anti-capitalism.
One that goes beyond the usual politics.
So what does that even look like?
So Fisher thinks we got to move past this idea of just taking over the state.
Like just getting the right people elected.
Yeah, he's saying real change.
Need something much bigger.
Yeah, it's a total transformation.
Our values.
Our relationships.
How we live.
Yeah, the whole thing. So it's not just about changing the players.
It's about changing the game itself.
And he talks about like reviving the public sphere.
Yeah, creating spaces where people can actually come together.
Have discussions.
Debates.
Organize.
Build communities.
It sounds like he's really emphasizing collective action.
Absolutely, that's a key part of it.
Building power together.
To challenge this capitalist ideology.
And he talks about new forms of movements.
New ways of taking action.
That are designed for this late-stage capitalism.
Like tailored to the specific problems we're facing.
Can you give us some concrete examples?
Sure. So he talks about teachers, for example, refusing to do all these pointless evaluations.
Yeah, ones that just benefit administrators.
Not the students.
Not about education at all.
It's about teachers reclaiming control.
Over their work.
Focusing on what actually matters.
What else?
He talked about movements that target finance.
Okay.
Like challenging the power of big banks.
Demanding more democratic control. These are some pretty big changes.
They are, yeah.
I mean, where do we even start?
Fisher acknowledges that. It can feel overwhelming.
It really can.
But he also says even small acts of resistance matter.
Okay.
Like every time we question the status quo,
yeah,
refuse to participate in things we think are unjust,
connect with others,
build community.
That's all pushing back against capitalist realism.
In its own way, yeah.
So we actually have more power than we realize.
Individually and especially collectively.
Which brings us back to Fisher's core message.
Yeah, the heart of it.
If we can't imagine anything else,
then we're stuck.
But what if we do dare to dream?
What new possibilities might emerge?
That's a powerful challenge.
It is. It asks us to really stretch our imaginations.
To be open to new ways of living.
And to start taking action.
Even if it's small.
To make those dreams real.
So Fisher's book, it's not just a critique.
It's a call to action.
It's about moving beyond cynicism.
Despair.
Embracing this new kind of anti-capitalism.
And that's rooted in hope.
Solidarity.
And belief in our collective power.
To create a better world.
That's the goal.
It's a tough message.
It is.
But ultimately, I think it's hopeful.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
So if you're ready for that challenge.
Yeah, pick up the book.
Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism.
It'll really make you think.
And it might just inspire you to take action.
You can find a link to buy the book in our show notes.
And hey, if you're looking for a way to kind of nourish your mind on the go.
Yeah.
Check out Mindful Moments.
It uses AI to break down big ideas.
From awesome books like this one.
Into bite-sized audio nuggets.
So you can listen anywhere.
Perfect for your commute, your workout,
And be sure to subscribe to this channel
for more deep dives
into all sorts of thought-provoking stuff.
We love exploring these ideas.
And don't forget to share this episode
with anyone who's ready to challenge the status quo
and think differently about the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.